Hello everyone, this hour on Verbling, the next in my Getting Results in Business series. We are starting a brand new unit today. The brand new unit is all about culture and what role culture has in doing business. I think what we're going to find is that we have to change the way we use language when we're dealing with different cultures in business. In fact, all of you probably are familiar with that idea already. So, in today's class, we'll begin our new unit on culture in business, and you will discuss different cultural beliefs and values. You will practice the language of narrating past events later on, and review the relevant past tense grammar, because you're going to be talking about things related to your culture. You're going to be telling stories, in a business context, of course. In the final case study of the unit, you are faced with a situation which requires a good level of intercultural awareness to solve a problem. So we're going to build on what you've learned to work on the language you need with dealing with various cultures. Okay, that is a little bit about the class. Here's a bit about me. I'm Jon-Eric, your Verbling teacher for this hour. I'm an American teacher from New York, hanging out in Lisbon, Portugal to bring you this class. By the way, here are 3 quick rules to help you participate. Don't forget to turn off, tune in, and open up. That means when you're not speaking, turn off your microphone and keep it off until you do speak. That way we can keep the classroom nice and quiet. But when you are speaking, tune in to the new words and the new phrases you're learning. That means use them actively. Activate what you learn, especially in the beginning of class, by using it as actively as possible at the end when we do a conversation or activity. Rule number 3, open up to your classmates. Relax and have fun. We're all here to learn, and this is a safe and respectful place to practice your English. And here is our class material. So remember, the class material is always down here. When you click the join button, you have the material underneath the video. But I will also put our notes in the chat window. When you open them, you will see this, and you know you're in the right place. The blue Getting Results in Business logo. So we're going to start a brand new unit, but our notes will be here. The unit is done in presentations, but the notes will be here. So let me show you. We scroll down, you see that we're in Unit 14, Culture. We've got 2 more units to complete the level B2, the entire level. And as you can see, this course has been running since the end of 2013, and we've gone from A2 to B1 and now B2. And then we'll probably split it into one advanced group, and then we'll go back and repeat the beginning for new people. Something like that. Okay, and if you're ever lost, just go to the Jump to Topic and click on the unit, and it'll take you where you're supposed to be. In this case, it takes you to a new page, Unit 14, Culture. So what I'm going to do is open our presentation in the background and let it load. And in the future, you can always access this by going to presentation 1, and there'll be 4 others to complete this unit. The homeworks will be here when they're ready, and more. So let's see if it's loading. There we go. All right, so before we begin, let me just say hello to everyone. Welcome back to Daniel, Alexander. Welcome back to all of you. And welcome back to Fabio. Let's see, are you the same Fabio or are you a different Fabio? You're the same Fabio, aren't you?
Fabio. I changed only the photo. Yes.
Right. All right, very good. So, does anyone know where this picture was taken? Do you know what this is a picture of?
A church.
Does look like a church. What kind of a church do you think? Does it look like a Catholic church, like you'd find in Rome? By the way, I don't have the answer. I'm just curious if you know. I have to look up. Daniel says what?
Sofia in Turkey.
Have you been there?
No, but I've seen photos, pictures.
Santa Sofia, is that right?
Yes.
Ah, that's interesting. I was going to say it's either, I wasn't sure if it was Turkish or if it was an Orthodox, like Eastern. Santa Sofia, let me see if I can find a picture. Ah, look at that. I think I'm right. Because it says Greek Orthodox in Wikipedia, Constantinople. Look at that. And if I go back, Daniel, you're right, and in a way I'm right too, because look, Hagia Sophia or Hagia Sophia, Greek Orthodox Basilica. Because the Greek Orthodox always has those very ornate structures. Yeah, there you go. Very good. So, it's always a good idea to talk a little bit about the picture because it helps us generate new vocabulary. So what comes to mind when you think about the culture? You're not from Turkey, but you've seen pictures. When you look at this picture, what comes to mind? What are some cultural words that come to mind? What's the difference between a church in Spain, a church in Turkey, the culture in Spain and the culture in Turkey? If we start to talk about the picture a little bit, we're going to start to come up with some key vocabulary. So, what do you think of when you think about this culture, Daniel?
Religion.
Of course.
Is always about culture.
So religious culture is definitely one difference.
The most famous building in the all building are usually religious. Church, Muslim, pyramids.
So churches, mosques.
Mosques.
And pyramids. Although pyramids are actually giant tombs, I suppose. You can see that in the chat window. Churches, mosques, and pyramids. So religion is the first thing you think of when you think of culture, and it makes sense. I agree. Have any of you been to Istanbul to see this church? Have any of you been there?
Hopefully no.
No, I haven't.
No?
Haven't.
What else do we think of when we think of culture? So religion is one thing. What else do we think of when we think of culture?
It's like a Byzantine art.
Yeah, Byzantine. You're absolutely right. What comes to mind with what is Byzantine? Byzantine art. What makes it Byzantine? Do you know?
Is the texture of the wall. There is a lot of graphics.
Okay, so I'm going to say the pattern instead of texture. Yeah, the pattern. And more generally, style. The style of art is Byzantine. Ornate patterns in the wall. Yeah, that sounds good. So we've got religion, we've got art. And what else do we think of when we think about culture besides religion and art? You're missing the obvious one. Forget about the church for a second. Think about your experience. When you go to a new country, what's the first thing you notice when you go to a new country? The most obvious of all. The reason you're in this class.
The language.
Of course. So language. It's the third idea. I think this is a great place to start. We can talk about religion, art. By art, I mean art and culture in general, and language. The three essential, maybe, ways we can talk about different culture. So I want to ask you a few questions. In this unit, we'll be working vocabulary today, the working with words section. We'll be talking about cultural differences and developing our language for talking about these differences. Then you'll later on be narrating past events and giving explanations, meaning you'll be talking about your experiences in your culture or in another culture. But let's start here. Little discussion. A common piece of advice to people traveling to another country is, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. What does this expression mean? Well, Fabio, you're kind of in Rome somewhere, more or less.
Sorry?
You're near Rome, aren't you?
Not not too close.
But not
5
too far.
hours by car, but I went in Rome 2 times.
You're 5 hours by car, but I'm
Yes.
I'm 5 days by car.
Yes, yes,
You're closer than me.
yes, sure.
What does this mean? When in Rome, do as the Romans do.
When you are in Rome, you have to have a behavior similar to the people that live in Rome.
Ah, I agree. And what kind of behavior do people have in Rome? What do they do?
Depends where you are. If you are in downtown, there are a lot of tourists, so it is not the case. But far from downtown, they I don't know. Really, I don't know what to say.
What's the difference between Rome and Napoli?
Oh,
Big difference, right?
yes, yes, sure. Napoli in Naples, there aren't rules on the street. If you use a car, everyone go
Chaos.
chaos. Yes, sure.
So, if you're in Rome, your behavior, maybe you'll follow the traffic rules, and when you're in Naples, you don't.
Yes.
But if you, as a tourist, don't know that, your behavior might conflict in a serious way. You might get run over.
Yes, yes. On the street, if you're driving, the streets are very complex for a person that doesn't live in Rome. So it's really difficult, and the other people, the Romans, started to sing the klaxon. I don't know, and
The Romans started to do what? Say again? I didn't hear the last thing. The klaxon. The horn.
The horn. Yes, yes. Sure.
Ah.
Yes, yes. and start to insult you if you block the traffic.
Right.
Because there is a lot of traffic, so the people are quite frustrated to
In
take
Rome?
the car. Yes, yes.
Oh my goodness.
It's really crazy.
Madonna mia, fagiolo. They start shouting things out the window, right?
In
Yes.
Naples,
In Naples, they'll just run over you. They'll just kill you.
Yes.
I know where I am in Italy, because the farther south you go, the more people are on one Vespa. If you're in Rome, one person, one Vespa. Like Nanni Moretti. One person, one Vespa running around. If you're in Naples, 4 people on one Vespa. 2 in the front, 1 in the back, 1 in the middle. If you're in Sicily, I don't know. Maybe 10. I don't know how it goes. So, what do you think this expression means? Let me go to Jose, because you're way too quiet. Jose, are you out there?
Yes.
What do you think this expression means as a metaphor? Where have you been in your life where you've had to do as the Romans do? Have you had an experience where you had to change your behavior? Have you ever had to change your behavior to fit into a different culture? Jose, are you there?
No, I don't have. John, sorry,
Yeah.
I don't have any experience.
Ah, so have you traveled?
No, not so much. Usually I don't travel.
What's the farthest you've ever traveled? Where have you been?
Usually I travel near from Valencia, for example. I travel to Madrid near. To Roma, I never have traveled.
Yeah. But are people different in Madrid than in Valencia? Is the behavior a little
No,
different?
I think that the behavior is more or less the same behavior.
Ah,
I
same.
I think it's no so much different.
What about Portugal? Have you ever been here?
No,
Oh, you should come.
no.
You should
I
visit.
I never I've never have visited Portugal.
Come on over. It's nice. It's nice. You like it?
I suppose that the behavior will be different in Portugal, no?
Absolutely different.
Yes.
What do you think one difference might be from what you know?
The language, one difference.
Of course.
Uh-huh.
And anything else?
And the religion, I don't know.
Yes, we're all Muslim here.
Yes.
No.
What religion?
It's the same.
Do you have imported the same that in Spain?
Yeah, exactly the same. Catholic, Roman Catholic.
Roman
Exactly.
Catholic. The same. Okay.
But there is a big influence from the Moors because the south of Portugal was a Moorish area. So there's a big influence. That's true. No, but it's the same. So I'm just curious, have any of you had an experience where you had to do as the Romans do? What about you, Alexander, when you went to Greece?
Can you repeat your question one more time, please?
Sure. Look at the quote in number 1. Can you read it? Just the quotation. Read it for me.
A common piece of advice to people traveling to another country is when in Rome, do as the Romans do. What does this expression mean?
When you were in Greece, did you do as the Romans did? Did you have to change your behavior?
Honestly, I don't think so, because I knew that I was not gonna live here for my whole life, and that is why I behaved the last form.
Behaved?
I behaved as I wanted, and in Greece, everyone understood me because I didn't behave so how to say, just a sec.
Google Translator.
Yeah. Emphasizing, like emphasizing from the crowd. No, I just was as the part of Greece, as the part of national community, and I didn't have tendency to behave like that. So I think that this
expression
is close to the countries like where we where have another religion, like maybe Buddhism, Catholics.
So Buddhism, you would say Catholicism,
Catholicism.
right?
Uh-huh.
Buddhism, Catholicism, Islam,
Islam.
or whatever else you can imagine. But yeah. So, have any of you been to, for example, have you been to the Middle East or to Africa? Have any of you been to another place with a really different religion?
Actually,
Where did you go?
actually, I didn't travel so far away from from Russia, but I'm really fanatical about Oriental countries, and right now I'm reading some information about China, about Buddhism, and I think when I visit there, I'll behave as it needed there.
As the Romans do.
Yeah, as the Romans do.
So for example, what might be different? I mean, remember, we've talked so far about religion, we've talked about language, we've talked a little bit about culture, but it's not just that. It's also how you appear, too.
Yeah, I mean, just we can take the greetings. The greetings, yeah, or greeting.
We can take how people greet each other.
How they greet each other, for example, because they greet each other in a different way than, for example, in my country or in European country, and that is why it's really.
For example, how do they greet each other? What's the difference?
They how to say, they do a bow.
They bow. They bow.
They bow in each other. And
it's like the word how. They bow.
Bow. And it is another symbol of the greeting, and another symbol of body language. And if we in another country, I mean Oriental country, we have to at least know what kind of body language they use, what kind of communication skill, what kind of how to say, signs of polite you have to.
Gestures.
Yes.
Gestures
of polite you have to use in your daily life in these countries.
Absolutely. And if you're going to go to China, you better get used to the food.
Oh, it's not a problem because I like Chinese food.
Yeah, but you never had food like that. You got to go there and then see. It's not
really,
like what you expect.
Here in Russia, there are a lot of how to say, shops, cafes with China food, because it's really popular now, and it is increasingly increase.
Increasingly?
It increasingly
what, popular?
Yeah.
Yeah, but go to the real China and see the difference between the tourist food
between the foods
and the real food. You'll see what I mean. When you
Maybe you're right.
For example, would you ever eat a chicken embryo with eyes, beak, and feet on it? You would never see that in a Chinese restaurant because Westerners don't eat that kind of stuff. Go see what they eat in real China.
Perhaps, but my brother was in the China, and he said that it's not so dramatic and tragic as we pretend, as we imagine. It's quite eatable.
No, but in the cities, of course, in the big cities, because China has two very different places. The mega cities, which are trying to be very Western, but then you go into the country and it's like a different. They're in a different century. You know what I'm saying? They're very, very different. So, anyway, I like what you said. You have to at least know about the body language, the gestures. You have to at least know about these things. Fabio, let me ask you a question before we leave the Rome question. Speaking about body language, when I had Italian friends from Rome, I remember when I was in New York, we would shake hands if we saw each other. When I was in Rome, we had to kiss each other 4 times. Next cheek.
4 times?
Yes.
4 times.
3 times.
Was it 3? Oh yeah, maybe it was 3. Okay. And I remember then going back to New York and seeing my friend from Rome, and I was like, "Oh my God, I kissed that guy in Rome." But in Rome, it was normal. Everyone kiss, kiss, kiss. So,
Yes. It is normal on the south of Italy. On the north is a bit less common.
yeah.
But there
horrible,
are
actually.
some friends that I know that comes from the south of Italy, and when it is the birthday of someone, shake your hand, give you an hug, and kiss you.
Right. But at least where I was, everyone just kissed each other. I don't know if it was that part of Rome. I don't know. But I'm saying, so imagine in a business context, how do you think people would react if you've got a bunch of Americans coming to Rome for the first time and you're the tour guide? It's you're the company, you're the manager.
In business, it is different.
So-
the people in business in Italy know that other people come from other countries, have different behavior or
Behaviors.
and so they change his mood.
They change their. They
their
change
mood.
their.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, they change their mood.
Their mood is how they feel. Change their
No,
mood.
behavior.
Change
No.
their behavior. Yeah.
Yeah,
Or change what they do. Change
Yes.
Change the way they act. There's another way to say behavior is the way they act.
the way they act. Right.
Okay, so we've got some good ideas here so far because we went beyond religion and language, talked a little bit about gestures, specific behaviors, even food. Second question for all of you. How much do you change your behavior if you visit another country for work as a tourist? So I told you about when I was in Rome, literally in Rome, I did what everyone else did because, okay, that's what they were doing. When I went back to New York, saw the same people when they came to visit me, and I was like, oh, that's weird. We didn't shake hands in Rome. In fact, I didn't even think about it. When I went to Morocco, that was a little bit strange because I wasn't really used to it. I felt very comfortable, but everyone's dressed differently. The behavior is quite different. Not so much in the north of Morocco. It's very western. But when you go south, people's behavior is different. In fact, they're much more friendly, to be honest with you. I wasn't expecting it. It's different. Let me ask all of you. How much do you change your behavior? How much do you change your behavior when you go to a place, particularly if there's another religion or a very different culture than what you're used to? Anyone have an experience about this?
No.
No. Okay, that's the end of class today. Bye. No, just kidding.
Maybe one day. Not
Have
too
you-
far.
So have you traveled outside of Spain, Daniel?
Yes, maybe. I'm applying for a job abroad.
Have you traveled outside of Spain in the past?
No, in the past, no. I'm
No.
going to.
Because even if you cross the border into France, I imagine things would be a little different.
Yeah, I went for skiing.
There you go. So the question is, instead of how much do you, let's ask a different question. How much do you think you ought to change your behavior if you're in another culture? Do you think you need to do as the Romans do and be exactly like they are? How much, what do you think the limit is? Just out of curiosity. Are there any limits? By the way, we could even talk about it in the classroom because we have people from all over the world. Oops, lost Alexandra. Hi, Alex. And even in the classroom, we have to adopt slightly different behaviors. Well, let's think about this. Go on and get some vocabulary. So what we're going to do is read a little bit about cultural differences. Let me just see what I want to do with this before we go on. Give me just a second here. Yeah. Oh, let's start over here. So what we're going to do is take our first question and think about it before we read. So I'm going to go backwards. If you do business with a different culture, what is useful to know about that culture? So let's start with that question first before we actually read. If you do business with a different culture, what is useful to know about that culture? Based on what we've talked about so far. What do you think, class? What kinds of things do you need to know to do business?
I think that you have to know what is offensive for this culture, first of all.
What is offensive?
Yes.
Okay.
Because, for instance, in the Japanese culture, they doesn't take as offensive the touching each other or seeing on the eyes a man while you are speaking with it.
You're looking directly into your eyes.
Yes, yes. In fact, they look on the neck or not on the eye.
Okay, very good example. So an example might be averting your gaze in Japan. Averting your gaze. Averting is to avoid. Avert.
Yes.
Averting your gaze. So don't look directly into people's eyes. If you're in the Middle East, don't use your left hand for any reason, ever. You can't use your left hand. Do you know that?
No.
The right hand is okay, the left hand is rude.
Okay.
Don't show the soles of your feet. Don't lift up your feet to show the bottom of your feet in the Middle East. In most cultures, it's considered rude. So if you've got shoes, don't lift up your feet so people can see the bottom of your shoes. Because your shoes are dirty, so you can't show them to people. Got it?
Yes.
Now you know. So we have to be aware of what is offensive to other people. Okay, that's a good example. Anything else we want to think about? What else do we need to know to do business with another culture?
Also the gesture, the V make with the two fingers. In I think in Italy is victory, and in UK is fuck you.
So
He's right.
be careful how you gesture. Well, in the UK it means both.
Yes.
It depends on the context.
Okay.
If you see Winston Churchill, well, no, if it's Winston Churchill, it's probably FU. But anyway, yes, it could be both.
Okay.
So body language and gestures, sure. Well, let's think about this for a minute as we read. We're going to get a little bit of a background about different cultures in this text. And then what we're going to do is use that to pick up some more vocabulary. We're going to be talking about not just culture, but the structure of the culture. He's going to introduce us to some ideas about how cultures are organized. And then from there, we're going to go on to descriptive words for culture, how we can describe cultures in different ways. Okay? So let's do a little bit of reading. Everyone take a paragraph. I'll start you off, then we'll go to Daniel, and then we'll go around the room from there. Working with cultures. Professor Gert Hofstede of the Netherlands conducted a study of how values in the workplace are influenced by culture. His research, based on a large database of employees' values collected by IBM, covers 74 countries and religions. That's the background. So, Daniel, can you take the first one for us?
Yes. Working, entertaining, negotiating, and corresponding. Negotiating and corresponding with colleagues from different cultures can be quite difficult. One misunderstanding could have a negative effect on months of work. Understanding intercultural difference can help.
Intercultural.
Intercultural.
Good.
Differences can help communications with colleagues from other cultures. According to Hofstede,
Hofstede is his last name.
If we compare the key factors in our own culture with those in another culture, we can predict possible difficulties.
Okay, let's stop there just for a second. And I want to just take a quick break to point something out that we can use in the future. This is from the last class, pronunciation practice. But I think we ought to use it here too. This is my don't mess with the S tool. There are 3 ways to pronounce the S. You've got the sibilant S, the voiceless S, and the voiced S as a Z. So 3 different S's. How do I make the plural of difference? Is it is, s, z? Which is it, Daniel? The plural of difference.
Sorry.
Let's look at the word. The word that I corrected you on. The word is difference. There it is. Which column do I put it in? The first one is. The next one is s. The next one is z.
The second one.
The second one. Difference. But I'm asking you to make the plural. Make the plural. Difference. Yeah. So it goes.
The first one.
Can you think of an example to go in the second or third from the text? The text that you just read? Are there any other plurals? What about colleague? Let's try that, shall we?
Difficulties.
Well, let's go with colleague first. Colleague becomes, you just add an S. Where do I put it? First, second, or third?
Colleagues.
Colleagues. Colleagues. Which?
The first one?
No, that would be colleagues. Colleagues. Not the first. Colleagues. 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 Colleagues.
Third one.
If you, it could be the second or the third, but if you say it slowly, it's the third. Colleagues. If you say it slowly, gz. Yes, it's definitely the third. If you say it slowly, if you say it fast, it sounds more like a x. Okay, but yes. If you say it slowly the right way, it's the third. Colleagues. Because the G is voiced. Gz. You use your voice, so it sounds like a Z. What about this word? Rock becomes rocks. Where does that go?
Rocks.
First, second, or third? By the way, I'm talking to all of you. Fabio, Jose, Onorato. Where does rocks, where does that go?
The second?
The second is right. Because you don't use your voice when you say the K. It's no voice. Rocks is the voiceless S. Rocks. I want to hear you say all three, Onorato. All three.
All three?
All three words. Repeat. All three words.
Differences.
Good?
Colleagues.
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 No. Colleagues.
Colleagues. Colleagues.
It's better, not perfect. Because it's got to be, you've got to use your voice. Gz. Gz. Colleagues.
Colleagues.
That's it, yes.
Colleagues. Rocks. Rock.
Okay, good. Same thing, Jose. Let me hear the three words.
Okay. Differences. Rocks.
Good. What?
Colleagues. Colleagues.
Colleagues is good. And the second one was?
Rocks.
No. Listen. Not rocks with a R, but listen. Rocks.
Rocks.
Yeah, that was it. It's good. You have to say it slowly, but that's good. And the same with you, Fabio. All three.
Differences.
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 But be careful. First syllable. Differences.
Differences.
Yeah, but you're putting the stress. You're putting the stress on the third syllable. You're saying differences. It's not differences. First syllable. La sílaba tónica. Primera sílaba. Differences.
Differences.
It's better. Be careful with the third. The third is quiet. Differences.
Differences. Differences.
It's better. It's better. Okay. Next word.
Colleagues.
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 Be careful. Not an S. Z. Z like zebra.
Colleagues.
It's better.
Colleagues.
Work on the G. Make the G voiced. Goose. Goose. Colleagues.
Colleagues.
That's it. That's actually very good. Okay. And the last word?
Rocks.
Perfect. I just want to show you this for the future. Don't worry about it now, but I want to show you this because as we're reading, you can keep in mind if you're using your voice or if you're not. If you are, it's a Z sound. If you're not, it's the S sound. And occasionally, it'll be is. Particularly if you have to add an ES. Particularly when you add the extra ES. Okay, sorry for the interruption there. We'll finish reading now, but I just wanted to point that out because I think that if you see it now, it'll be easier to remember when you're reading. So let's go back. You probably forgot what Daniel said, so let me just recap it, then we'll go around the room. Daniel said, working and entertaining, negotiating, corresponding with colleagues from different countries can be difficult. One misunderstanding could have a negative effect on months of work. Understanding intercultural differences can help communication with colleagues from other countries, other cultures. According to Hofstede, if we compare the key factors in our own culture with those in another culture, we can predict possible difficulties. Compare the key factors in your culture to another's. That's the idea. Fabio, take the second column, please.
Yes. Hierarchical or
hierarchical. Hierarchical. Hierarchical.
Hierarchical.
Good.
Or
Good.
egalitarian. Some cultures, like Malaysia and Indonesia, are hierarchical.
Hierarchical. Higher.
Hierarchical.
Good.
Okay, hierarchical, with a caste or a class system. And there is often a big difference in wealth between individuals. At work, employees respect authority, don't usually take responsibility, and have a formal relationship with their manager. Other cultures, like Australia and Denmark, are more liberal and egalitarian.
Good.
Okay. Managers give their employees responsibility and often socialize with them.
Okay, very good. So that's our first choice. Is it hierarchical or is it egalitarian? That's your first choice in talking about cultures. Jose, read about the second choice.
Yes. Individualist or collectivist?
Wait, 1 second. Listen to me. Individualistic.
Individualistic or collectivist?
Wait. You're still skipping a word. Listen. Individualistic. Listic.
Individualistic.
Perfect. Good.
Or collectivist.
Perfect. Keep going.
Individualistic cultures, such as the USA and the Netherlands, think that individual rights and freedom of speech are important. Personal goals, choices, and achievements are encouraged.
Encouraged. Good.
Are encouraged. In more collectivist cultures, such as Korea and Colombia, this self-centered approach is discouraged. The group, such as the family, has a big influence on people's life and is often seen as more important than business. Companies have a strong work group mentality and praise is given to teams rather than individuals.
All right. So we'll talk about what this means in just a second. By the way, if there's questions, just ask at any time. All right. The next difference is masculine or feminine. Onorato, talk to us about masculine or feminine.
Masculine or feminine. In masculine societies like Brazil and Mexico, the male dominates the power structure. Competitiveness and assertiveness are encouraged, and the accumulation of wealth is important.
Wealth.
And the accumulation of wealth is important. Many employees live to work.
Nope.
Live to work.
Good.
Many employees live to work and take short holidays. In feminine societies such as Sweden and Finland, family, personal relationship, and quality of life are more important. Conflicts are resolved through negotiation, and people work to live, enjoy longer holidays and flexible working hours.
So this next idea I think is controversial, but because I don't know why one is masculine and one is feminine, but that's what he calls it. So we have to decide if we agree or not. I have a problem with labeling one kind masculine and the other kind feminine because I don't know what the idea is. Why is family life feminine, not masculine? I don't know. So to me, I don't know what I think about that.
Yeah, I don't agree. I don't understand the link between masculine and feminine with the live to work or not.
Well, I think he's trying to say that you have an alpha male culture where we're very aggressive or something. I don't know. Well, anyway, our job is just to develop the language to talk about culture. We don't have to agree with his ideas in particular, but there are some good vocabulary words. That's the main thing. Let's go back to the beginning. We lost Alexander, so we're back to Daniel. We're cautious or risk-taking? Last one. Or cautious or risk-taking?
Some cultures, especially those with a long history such as Greece and Portugal, are quite cautious. Cautious. They often have religious backgrounds and resist new ideas. At work, people prefer to follow strict rules and do things as they always have been done. Other cultures, like Jamaica and Singapore, often have a younger history and are willing to take risks.
2 words. Younger? Younger?
History.
No, but you said younger history.
Younger history.
Is it younger? Younger? No.
Younger.
Younger, right. Younger
history.
And are willing
to take risks.
Good.
They are more open to new ideas, are less accepting of rules and regulations, and are more likely to welcome change.
All right. So you've got those differences to keep in mind. So the questions are about what the author thinks, not what you think. We don't have to agree with these ideas. In fact, I don't think I agree with the last two at all. This seems really strange to me. But that's all right. We want to work on the language. But let's make sure it's clear. According to Hofstede, which cultures think family life is important? Not according to you, but according to Hofstede.
Northern Europe.
And what did he call Northern Europe?
Swedish?
Yeah, but what was the adjective he used to describe them? Feminine, right. He called them feminine. Feminine, like Sweden and Finland. Was that the only type of culture which is interested in family? Just the so-called feminine? I think there was another one, too.
Liberal?
He didn't use the word liberal, though.
Egalitarianism culture.
Egalitarian. It could be. I don't think that's what he said. He did say the word egalitarian, but I don't think that's what he meant here. We'll come back to it. I think there's a second answer besides feminine. Number 2. According to Hofstede, which cultures like to be very polite to their managers, follow rules and regulations? What do you think? Fabio, you got this one?
Yes. I think the last one, Greece and Portugal.
And he called them
cautious.
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 That's it. Cautious cultures.
Cautious cultures.
Yeah. Well, because I live in Portugal, I can tell you that it's not caution that's the reason for that. It's nothing to do with caution. But what can I say? All right, and the last one. Jose, can you tackle the last one for us? According to Hofstede, which cultures adapt easily to change?
Okay.
According to him. Do you remember?
I don't remember.
What you can do is skip back. Take a look back, especially at the beginning, I think.
At the beginning. Okay.
Oh, look at that. He did say liberal. You're absolutely right. Before whoever said that.
At the beginning? No. In the second paragraph.
In the second paragraph? No, I think it's here in this part. I think it's down here.
Okay.
I think. You know what? It's half. You know what? I can't find it. Wait a second.
I think it is the last paragraph.
Last paragraph. Okay.
The culture that risk taking.
Risk taking.
Because they are more younger.
Right. They're younger, so they're they adapt more easily to change, according to Hofstede.
Yes, Greece and Portugal are quite cautious. They often have religious backgrounds and resist new ideas.
They do.
Greece
Really?
and Portugal don't have to change, no? No, don't want change.
According to him,
Yeah,
they are resistant to change. According to him,
they are resistant to change, according the author.
Right, but the question is, question 2, part C. According to Hofstede, which culture or cultures adapt easily to change?
Okay.
And for that, we're looking at risk-taking cultures, right?
Take risks, Jamaica and Singapore, no?
So it's Jamaica and Singapore.
Yes.
Right. So the younger cultures are more risk-taking, according to the author.
Yes.
All right.
Maybe also the egalitarian.
Maybe the egalitarian. Okay. Could be. Why do you say that? I think you might have a point.
Because are more dynamic than the hierarchical, but it is not. The author doesn't say that in the article.
That's true. It's not specific about that. Well,
yes.
Just to finish up class, let's look at the last question and tell me, how would you describe your culture? Think about those differences, and I want you to use those vocabulary words. We can talk about what we agree with and disagree with later, but just for today, I want you to use those kinds of words to give a kind of a, category. How would you describe your culture, Fabio?
It is quite hierarchical.
Hierarchical.
I can do it. Hierarchical. Hierarchical.
Good.
And yes, it is a bit cautious.
A bit cautious. So it's hierarchical and cautious. And in what way is it hierarchical and cautious?
It is not explicit in the culture, but in some area, like politics or quite big company, usually are when they aren't a multinational,
right?
A global company, usually there is a strict hierarchical structure. Hierarchical structure.
So when it's a national company, it's much more hierarchical, national, not global.
Yes. Usually there is a family on the top of it.
Right. Okay. So that explains why it might be a little bit cautious too, meaning that you can't take big risks. You don't have the resources, right? Okay. Sure. And Jose, how would you describe your culture? According to Hofstede, how would you describe culture in Valencia?
I think that my culture is hierarchical. At work, employees, I think that respect authority.
They respect authority? Okay.
Yes, and they don't usually take responsibility and have a formal relationship with the manager.
Are you allowed to take responsibility? Is there even a choice? Does the management allow you to have freedom, or do you have to follow orders?
I think they follow orders.
They follow orders, or they have to follow orders.
They have to follow orders.
Right. So in Spain and Portugal, the culture is very similar.
Yes.
If you're at work, your boss is a dictator, and you do what your boss says, and you keep your mouth shut.
In Spain, it's the same.
Yes. So that's why I work at Verbling, because I can't work. I can't work in this. I tried to work here. It doesn't work, because the point is, if your boss knows what your boss is doing, fine. But the problem is, you go to work for a boss who has no idea what they're doing, and the best ideas are coming from the staff, but the staff aren't allowed to make decisions. That's when it gets to be impossible. So I have sympathy for you, Jose. I know what you're going through. I understand. And Ornato, you're in a different part of Italy than Fabio, aren't you?
I suppose I'm just a little more on the north of Italy, but I agree with Fabio almost. I will add that the society and the culture in Italy may be a little masculine.
According to the author, masculine, yeah. And how so? How so? How so means in what way? How so is it quote-unquote masculine? How so?
Probably the women at work are not so many. The average is a bit less than in North Europe country. And
so less women in the workforce?
Yeah, the women are not. Usually in a company, the average of women that work are less. The number is less than male.
So we call that the workforce. The workforce.
Workforce.
So less women in the workforce, for example, than say Sweden or something.
Yeah, these don't help in the society to be independent.
So or egalitarian either.
Yeah, to be egalitarian. So the masculine idea of the culture may be linked to the hierarchical, because there's not so much
balance, maybe.
It's difficult to explain.
balance. It's not as balanced.
There is not so much balance.
Right. Okay, well, these are good ideas. So the point is, today we have just the beginning of the language we need to start talking about culture. Even if we don't agree with these ideas, it gives us a language to start to use. So we have cautious and risk-taking, so-called masculine and feminine. I don't know if I like it, but okay. Maybe we can find a better word. We have hierarchical and egalitarian. Actually, egalitarian can also be hierarchical, but in a different way. But anyway, it gives you the idea of a top-down or flat structure. We're talking about a company. And we had some other great language earlier, just talking about culture in general. Language, food a little bit, clothing, body language, gestures, being polite, considerate, all these words that came up earlier. What I'm going to do is put that vocabulary into your notes under today's class, and tomorrow we're going to go back to the article, pick out some of the descriptive language, make sure that you understand it, and then we're going to use it ourselves in a final activity where we're going to just do an analysis of the culture using the language that we've learned. And that will be everything we need for the vocabulary. Then we're going to move on to the business skills. If not tomorrow, then certainly on Wednesday. We'll move on to the next section. Okay, so that gives you an idea of what we're going to do. We're going to stop now. Remember, I'll be back. I'm here every day from 9 until 11 GMT, London time. At 9 a.m. tomorrow, great short stories. We're working on the science fiction story. I forgot what it is. Help me out.
Thank you.
The guy who wrote Crash, J.G. Ballard. We're working on a science fiction story by J.G. Ballard tomorrow. At 10 o'clock GMT, the next Getting Results in Business. Bye for now, everyone. See you soon.
Bye bye.
Bye
Thank
bye.
you.
For
Bye.
now.
Have a nice day.